Hello Taurus, welcome to your mid-December 2018 Tarot and Astrology readings. This is your last mid-monthly of the year, so let's hope it's a good one for you, Taurus. And there you are. Empress energy, gorgeous. Very impressive. So for a lot of the Taurus females, this is all about femininity, nurturing people, feeling beautiful, creating beautiful surroundings, beautiful circumstances. It may not feel like that immediately as you're going into mid-December, but this is an energy that's coming through as the second half of the month emerges, okay? So it's really beautiful and compassionate, the Empress. She's all about nurturing ideas, nurturing people, nurturing relationships. She's very Venusian. Venus is currently in Scorpio in your sector of partnerships, so you are having a lot of emphasis on the relationships you have in your life, and you're really reassessing what it is that you want from a relationship, what your patterns are in relationships. There's also an interesting relationship for some Taurus people with the mother. The mother is coming into focus when the Empress emerges. We may also have a fire sign energy, so Leo, Sagittarius, Aries is coming through as significant people in the second half of December. We have the Sun in Sagittarius. Mercury leaves Scorpio on the 12th and moves into Sagittarius. We have Jupiter in Sagittarius. Fire sign energy is prevalent in many ways, but we do have Mars, Neptune in Pisces and Venus in Scorpio. So there's an interesting dynamic. There's a very, what I believe to be temperance style energy. You know, the cups, one's fire, one's water, and there's the balance in between. That's very much how December is, in my opinion. But we'll see what's going on for you, Taurus, in all your exciting adventures. So let's see. The Hermit energy we begin with. Do not fear the Hermit. A lot of people do. The Moon. Answers. Well, there's a lot here to do with answers. Something that was hidden. You're shining a light on what was hidden. The Tower. And now this is working to your advantage. So this is interesting. The Three of Pentacles is the challenge. The outcome is the Sun. Wow. And underneath we have the King of Wands. So if you're looking for me to reference signs, Taurus, we have Mars energy can be Aries or Scorpio. We have Hermit can be Virgo, Moon can be Pisces, Sun can be Leo, King of Wands, fire signs, as I said before, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So far. Now, one thing is certain. Answers of some kind, Taurus, have come to light that may have surprised you. You may have had a bit of a nasty shock recently. Or you may have found out something which you did not expect. Something that was hidden was revealed. Now bear in mind, this is to your advantage. Okay? I know a lot of people probably hear that and think, no way is there a good thing's going to come out of this Tower moment or this period of reflection for me. But the Tower is in your positive sector. I know that this is flipped. That's just what my camera does, but this Tower is in the positive. So, Taurus, when the Tower comes up, it's all about sudden shock, sudden change. And I felt the shock factor before I did this reading, so I kind of understand this. The Tower is when you have been building things. Now, as we said, your relationships were coming into focus here because of the Empress. When your relationships are built on shaky foundations, maybe because you haven't been on your own. A lot of you are very afraid of being alone. Okay? A lot of you see it as a negative reflection of your character or your circumstances. You may think that it's your fault if you are alone. The Hermit is never lonely, okay? He has gone into a period of self-reflection with his little lantern to try and find answers in the dark that were not visible before. And that's important. We all have those answers within ourselves. It's a lot of the time we go looking for them in external circumstances. And when you do that with your relationships or your job, you're trying to find answers from somebody else. It is going to build on shaky foundations because if they can't provide it for you, then it's going to crumble. The Tower in the positive also represents some kind of revelation that you weren't aware of before. I feel very much as though it was very deeply embedded because of the Moon. Again, the Moon can represent the mother, so I am sensing some sort of repressed memories. Some Taurus people may need to go as far as seeking therapy. The moon can sometimes represent that. But emotions are surfacing that you maybe had repressed. And that's what I'm feeling. Some of you maybe were picking relationship after relationship after relationship to hide from yourself. And now you can't do that anymore. You have to face yourself to move forward. And the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing about this, Taurus, is that it works. The sun is your outcome. There's this glorious crowning moment where you have shone the light so brightly from the Hermit that it becomes the sun. Bright lights galore. And that's very festive and very Christmassy and all that stuff. I know that. But you're shining a light on something, and the light's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until everything's out in the open and you can finally move forward knowing that you have your truth. You have your answers. As optimistic as that sounds, I know that there is something here that was hidden that has shaken you. Very much so. And looking inward can sometimes be the hardest thing because we're programmed actually really, really strongly to think we have to find a certain someone and start a relationship and do things a certain way. A lot of it's biblical. A lot of it is just to do with gender roles. And I was talking a lot about this in the last Taurus reading about how it was about following your calling. Judgment is very much like Tower energy in that it represents a sudden revelation you weren't quite expecting. And that was what the December was all about for you. It was really finding your truth. And that momentum continues. It's just that with Judgment, sometimes you can find somebody else wakes you up to what it was that you were missing. And I do feel like someone has shaken you up a little bit. You're not making false assumptions anymore. Something that was false has come to light. Now, the challenge here with the Three of Pentacles is the actual building up again. So, because the Tower is, although it's positive, it's a lot of crumbling. It was a very tall structure. And for it to crumble, and then the Three of Pentacles, which represents rebuilding, it can take a little bit of time. And you don't necessarily feel ready for it either. And it's something that you have to do very much on your own because this represents teamwork. It's in a challenge. And as I say, I think a lot of you Taurus folk out there feel like being on your own is too much of a burden. There has to be somebody. And it's because you're avoiding yourself maybe, or it's because there's something within you that hasn't quite come to surface. It's all a journey. There's never an end result, but you can still move forward with somebody. As I say, the Hermit isn't about being alone, but you may have put yourself in a solitary position after this Tower moment. And I know a lot of you don't like waiting around and you don't like to put yourself in a voluntary position of lack of movement. But just because things on the outside aren't moving and other people can't see it, it doesn't mean that you're not changing on the inside. This is a lot of internalizing here. Okay? Two of Cups and the Hermit. There may have been a relationship breakdown, but as I said, this to me represents a fear of being alone. So maybe copy and pasting a different person, same type of relationship onto the space left behind. It's almost as if you've dated the same person in a different body. Two of Pentacles. Yeah, something's definitely come to light and you're not sure what to do with it. The Hierophant is in the positive position. Now, the Hierophant is a Taurus major arcana, so it could represent another Taurus, or it could represent a breakdown of a marriage or a breakdown of a committed relationship. That's not to scare anybody, so please don't take that as gospel. That may have been something that happened a while ago. To me, the two don't necessarily go hand in hand. It doesn't mean that necessarily, but it may have been a belief system you had that was long-standing. As I say, internal. Five of Pentacles is a challenge. You do feel lonely. I think a lot of you feel lonely. Some of you are in a relationship where you feel lonely too. The Sun and the Four of Swords, taking some time out is the best thing for you. If you're going on holiday, this looks really good. And the Page of Pentacles underneath, okay? Right. Interesting. There's a real breakdown of tradition here. which I kind of like. Taurus can sometimes be creatures of habit. I say sometimes, more often than not, yes. Creatures of habit, having a routine, having things done a specific way, having relationships played out a certain way. There's been a lot of the same over and over. And it's because the foundation isn't right. Okay? And this is what you're trying to figure out. You're trying to figure out why this has all gone so higgledy-piggledy. And I can tell you, I think from the cards it tells me that your tried and tested way of doing things hasn't been working for you because subconsciously there's some repressed pain that is playing out in picture form with the people that you're dealing with. It's like the same person is mirroring back this until you face it. And this is very deep, Taurus. Some of you could be seeing somebody and be very happy, so check out your moon and rising as well, if this is not in any way applying to you, but I do feel like there is the possibility that your romantic ideals and your romantic visions are changing dramatically in December. It's like you're waking up to something that you weren't aware of. In fact, the Sun and the Four of Swords to me does kind of look like, waking up to a new day. He's in bed and then the sun comes up and he's waking up to a new day, a new beginning, a new chance. You're not defined by what's happened before. The Hierophant can be very stuck in their ways, in my opinion. He is known as being a religious mentor, wise mentor, someone who follows rituals, but he is stuck in his way and something's challenged this for the better. The Tower is challenging this guy for the better. He's challenging his belief system. Some of you may be having a change of faith, a crisis of faith, and you're going to come out of it with a new perspective, but that is okay. The Tower will always force you to get that new perspective if you don't have it, or if you're refusing to do it. Circumstances. Advice can come to you in the form of action and circumstance rather than words or wisdom. The advice can come to you in a way that gives you no choice but to take it, The Hermit has always been one of those cards that people find unnerving. And I get why. I recently got it for myself and I sort of thought, right. And then I thought about it and I realized that our journeys in life are, you do require little bits and pieces of solitude in order to get your thoughts together. A lot of the time it'll come up when you have just come out of a relationship and you need some time to think. Or when the Tower moment happens, sometimes you do need some time to process it because you can't just be expected to pick everything up and move forward. 10 of Cups. That's perfect. Okay. Let me see. Oops. Knight of Cups. Interesting. Interesting. Queen of Cups. So there's water sign energy too, especially with the Knight of Cups. So you could be dealing with a Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer. They're in the positive position, so they're coming through as a good influence. Let me see. The challenge is the Knight of Swords. King of Swords, sorry. You are feeling stubborn. And the Three of Swords. Okay. Revelations, indeed. And the Star. The Star is always what you want to see if the Three of Swords comes out, just an FYI. It's very hopeful. Now, the reason the Three of Swords has come up is not necessarily because you'll be attending a heartbreak event. It is actually because you're acknowledging it before you can heal it. The Sun energy is all about renewal and revitalizing yourself. With the Four of Swords and the Three of Swords, it means your pain is being exposed. And that's the only way to move forward from it. You have to expose it, talk about it, and let it go. Or at least work through it. You can't be expected to just be fine when someone tells you to be fine. Or just because you figured it out doesn't mean it's easy. I think, when I see the Two of Cups and the 10 of Cups, Taurus, You deserve happiness. You do. And there seems to be a real chance that you to change what way you've been going with your life, because the Tower, I just feel like there's been so many false assumptions and Three of Swords, misunderstandings about yourself, misunderstandings about the way you work and maneuver. And you kind of have to face it. There's this Tower moment is, yes, there's a revelation here. For some of you, you might actually have really pushed somebody away, and that's why you're in hermit mode and you regret it. It can't necessarily be fixed automatically, but there's chances here, okay? The Knight of Cups indicates a conversation with a romantic interest. This is what you're hoping for. There was some sort of illusion. It could have been a Pisces for sure. There was some illusions about this person, or misunderstandings, or the truth had to come out in some way or form, and you didn't know how to handle it, because the Two of Pentacles, you're weighing up your options and you can't quite figure out what to do next. You're not sure. You can't quite get a grip on this person. You can't quite figure them out, or they can't quite figure you out. I suppose it can go both ways. And the King of Swords and the challenge is that you've not shown your hand. You haven't been honest completely, or you've not been clear. And that can be with them, it can be with yourself. The King of Swords can also represent clear thinking and intellect. And maybe with Mercury being retrograde in Scorpio, you've not been thinking very clearly with your romantic partnerships. And you've maybe acted strangely, or you've maybe done something or said something, or they've done or said something. It goes both ways. But I see you as being a little bit out in the cold, particularly if you're dealing with an air person. So Libra, Aquarius, Gemini, maybe. You know? Or even a Capricorn. But it can be anybody. I feel like this King of Swords more represents your perspective, where you're sort of shutting off. And for some of you, it's because you're dedicated to your studies. You maybe don't want to date anybody and mess things up. But for some reason, there's pain strongly associated with another person. So I sense that it could be a relationship breakdown, misunderstanding, or an ending that has got you feeling very hurt. But at the same point, it may have woken you up to something you weren't paying attention to within yourself, like a pattern or a thought process. For a lot of you, there seems to be a positive water sign energy, so a Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. This is coming across as somebody who you either had a bit of a falling out with this Tower energy. I'm just laughing because I can apply that actually when I look at it. But the Hierophant in this person means that they always had good intentions, and they were always a bit, it's funny. They appeared shaky, but they were stable. I don't understand that completely, but the Tower and the Hierophant is a complete contradiction. Maybe why you don't understand this person. There's something shaky, yet something stable. So it could be a Pisces, because there's the duality side of it, but it can be Scorpio, Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising, okay? I actually sense that this person had some kind of offerings. The Queen of Cups usually do, but there was definitely some sort of crumbling there, and I think it's maybe shaken you up a bit, especially because the Knight of Cups is in your hopes position. I think maybe you're hoping to hear from this person and you're not at the moment. Okay, the Sun brings hope, the Star brings hope, so there's a possibility there of reactivating or recommunicating or completing an understanding. I'm going to actually clarify the Three of Swords, because I never leave a reading on it because it's just too alarming looking, isn't it? It's never always as bad as it thinks. I've had it coming up as a brief falling out, you know, like for a few hours, or a misunderstanding, or just, you know, it's kind of, yes, it is to do with a water sign. For a lot of you. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. And I also never leave them on court cards, so I'll clarify him too and see what's going to happen there, because a lot of you, it is to do with a water sign. See what they want. What's going on there? Oh, the Devil. Somebody's addicted to love. They could be addicted to love. Or you could be addicted to love. There's some form of control issue, Taurus. You're both trying to be in control. Or you're both dealing with something. Now, the devil can represent addictions. It can represent energy vampires. But it can also represent subconscious fear that is holding us back. And this can be the King of Cups person. It can be you, the moon. It's something so deeply repressed that you may have been scared to touch it in some circumstances. You didn't want to look at it. You know? It's like a wound. You know, when a wound is really, really deep and really graphic, you don't want to look at it. And if you do, I don't understand you. But you know what I mean? Sometimes memories are too painful to process. So it could be that. Or you could both be dealing with your own addictions. I think some of you are definitely addicted to love in a way of trying to repress something. And that's very deep, and I'm not a psychologist. But that's just kind of the vibe I'm getting. I also feel like a lot of you have very strong obsessive feelings for a water sign person that you may not be in communication with. They're in the outcome position, so there may be an argument. But that's not a bad thing. Sometimes arguments can illuminate the truth in a way that you couldn't in a regular conversation, because when people are passionate and really angry, they talk more. That's just the truth. It's strange, and it doesn't always come across in the right way. But if you want answers, a lot of the time they come out in an argument. Because people, when they're angry, they're impulsive. When people are scared and timid, they don't always speak. Okay, so let's see. It's got us guidance messages. I feel like there's going to be some sort of conversation, to be honest. Golden opportunity. Important doors are opening for you. Walk through. Oh, focused intention. Diana. I'll get to the... Oh, for goodness sake. These have all fallen out. Okay. I'll take this one because those two weren't visible. Okay. Yes, this tower moment is actually an opportunity for you to release something and to take a new direction, a new path. You can focus your intention on what it is that you want. If you want to heal, focus your intention on healing and dedicate yourself to healing the old issues and make action towards it. Whether, they're baby steps or big steps, Taurus, doesn't matter as long as you're making steps. You're supplied for today and all of your tomorrows. So people are looking out for you. Okay? People care. I'll draw one of these. It's an odd way to leave the reading, I know, Taurus, but it's just that you have to get to something, and I can't promise you the next thing until you're actually there. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like a step, because the sun, I wish I could explain how wonderful the sun is as an outcome card. Even if it's sitting there beside Four of Swords and the Three of Swords and the Devil, I know that you're probably thinking this month is going to end horribly. It's not. It's not. The sun is a revitalizing energy, but it's just that at the first point you might have to deal with something or realize something that's going on within you that you've not thought of. And maybe that's your idea for 2019. Maybe you're thinking, I actually have something I need to sort out, and I can't put somebody else into this position because they can't sort it out for me. Or you realize that you've been taking out your trust issues, for example, on your partner. It can go either ways. As I said, you could be dealing with one ridiculously loony water sign, or you could be dealing with a water sign that really cares. I have a feeling a lot of people cross-watching are water signs, because I see the King and the Queen of Cups and the Knight. I feel like there's definitely water signs watching this. But honestly, Taurus, there is a lot of light coming towards this. You're seeing yourself. You're seeing your life in a new way. You're waking up. You're waking up to the truth. You're waking up to what is in front of you. And the sun, you're going to be going into 2019 with an increased sense of optimism. Okay? On New Year's Eve, we leave the year behind with the Moon and Venus in Scorpio. And that is your partnership sector. Okay, Mercury is now direct. It'll move out of the shadow period. I'm not exactly sure of the date. I feel as if it may be the 19th of December. Venus will have left the shadow period and everything will become clear. Okay? My energy creates my reality. What I focus on is what I will manifest. Diana, focused intention. These go hand in hand, okay? The presence of love will always cast out fear. So if you're afraid of a person, if you're afraid of your feelings for them, if you're afraid of your feelings yourself, choose love. Like, love yourself enough to accept yourself as you are and help yourself. If you love yourself enough, you will always help yourself when you feel like you need it. You'll always be honest with yourself and say, I've got something going on here. I need to fix that. Okay? If you love somebody else, you say, I love them enough to be patient. I always trust the direction of the universe and know I'm being guided. Okay? You're being guided in the right direction because it's here with Yamanya, golden opportunity. And underneath, I just thought I should read this because it seems to apply. Thank you, universe, for helping me see beyond the limits of fear. Thank you for expanding my perceptions so that I can see what is of the highest good. Perceptions are shifting, the energy is changing, and it's a wonderful thing, even if it seems a little bit shaky at first. You're going to get through this and come out of it in the sunshine, Taurus. So I love you guys, and I will see you for the January 2019 reading. So take care, Taurus. Bye.